Hello everyone, thank you for joining us again. Remember, we're going to start the press conference now, and please hold your questions to the end. We'll be selecting each one of you, and just address who the question is going to be for. Miami-Dade County Mayor, Daniela Levine Calva.
Good evening, everyone. Okay. Am I going to start in Spanish? No. Okay. Our search and rescue efforts are continuing. For the last 24 hours and throughout the day, we have continued to see the incredible work of our fire rescue team. I could not be prouder of the work of these men and women and dogs who are all part of this operation. Their bravery, their selflessness, their total dedication to this mission. These people live to save lives. It's an inspiration to all of us and to people all around the world. Their work getting the fire and the smoke under control was very, very pivotal, and the good weather today were two very positive developments in the search, and they have allowed the search and rescue effort to move forward without some of the previous challenges that we have faced. So we continue to sweep the mound with our canines, using all of the technology available to us and machinery to lift the debris. And as of now, the number of confirmed fatalities remains at 9. And we can now report that we have identified an additional 4 of the victims. We're working to notify those next of kin first, and it is up to them after we'll release to the public and to the media. So the total number of those accounted for is now 134, unaccounted 152. And I want to stress, since the beginning, these numbers have been very, very fluid, and they will continue to be subject to change. That's because we get new information, people turn out were not there at the time, and so on. And so it is very important to keep in mind that these numbers are not final. And we will bring you new information, of course. So today, we did give all of the families an opportunity to privately visit the site. This was something that many of the family members had requested, and so our teams worked to set up something to accommodate them, and I think that it turned out very well, and they were very grateful for the opportunity. And we ask you to continue to pray for all of them, all of the families, during this impossibly difficult time as they're waiting for news, and to continue to pray for our first responders who continue to toil to find loved ones. I also wanted to mention that there are some families with missing loved ones whom our detectives have not been able to reach. So if you do not have a police report open, please go to 9301 Collins Avenue here in Surfside and speak to a detective on site. It is very, very critical that if you are missing a loved one, that you can report it to us. The site is open 24 hours a day. We're taking DNA swabs from everybody at that location, so if relatives come in, we will take DNA swabs, and this will be critically important for our identification. I continue to be overwhelmed with the very generous, moving outpouring of support from local cities, people, and around the country and the world. Those people have continued donating to our Support Surfside Fund. We've now raised over $1.2 million. This is incredible. So please, if you want to help, supportsurfside.org. Thank you, and God bless to you all. Nuestro esfuerzo de búsqueda y rescate ha continuado las 24 horas del día durante todo el día, gracias al increíble trabajo de nuestros equipos de bomberos, los mejores del mundo. No podría estar más orgullosa del trabajo de estos hombres y mujeres y los perros y de todos los que forman parte de esta operación. Su valentía, abnegación y dedicación a su misión y a salvar vidas es una inspiración para todos nosotros. Ustedes viven para salvar vidas. Continuamos barriendo los escombros con perros, utilizando toda nuestra tecnología y maquinaria disponible para levantar escombros. En este momento el número de muertes confirmados sigue siendo 9 y podemos informar que hemos identificado 4 víctimas adicionales. Estamos trabajando para identificar a los familiares más cercanos antes de que se publiquen sus nombres al público y a los medios de comunicación. El número total de los contabilizados es ahora 134 y los no contabilizados es 152. Quiero enfatizar, como lo hemos hecho desde el principio, que estos números siguen siendo extremadamente fluidos y seguirán cambiando. Los números van a cambiar. Estamos trabajando para dar la mejor información que tenemos y continuaremos haciéndolo, pero es importante tener en cuenta que los números son fluidos a medida que obtenemos nueva información. Hoy les dimos a todas las familias la oportunidad de visitar el sitio en privado. Esto fue algo que muchos miembros de la familia solicitaron y por eso nuestros equipos trabajarán para satisfacer este deseo mientras continuamos dándoles información y una variedad de servicios. Les pedimos que continúen orando por todas las familias en este momento increíblemente difícil, mientras oramos por nuestros socorristas. También quiero mencionar que hay algunas familias con seres queridos desaparecidos con quienes nuestros detectives aún no han podido comunicarse. Si aún no tiene un informe policial abierto, por favor vaya a 9301-9301 Collins Avenue para hablar en persona con un detective. Están en el lugar de 20 horas del día. Están tomando también muestras de ADN en persona en este lugar. Estoy tan conmovida por la respuesta que hemos visto de nuestra comunidad y de aquellos en todo el mundo que han donado al fondo supportsurfside.org, que ha llegado 1.2 millones. Increíble todo que han donado. Gracias a todos y que Dios te bendiga. Gracias.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And now Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman-Schultz.
Thank you so much. First, I want to just say, in my faith tradition, as well as Mayor Levine Cava's, when someone perishes, when someone's life has come to an end, we say, may their memories be for a blessing. And so I think it's important to just acknowledge that we have lost lives in this very tragic situation, and may their memories be for a blessing. I do want to commend Mayor Levine Cava, who really has been the quarterback of this entire local, state, and federal effort. We really have seen a seamless process that has shown no daylight, and Mayor Burkett, the city of Surfside, and his whole team have been dealing with unimaginable, unprecedented crisis, and have really risen to the occasion. And I can tell you, it gives me peace of mind as the member of Congress that represents this part of our community, to know that we're not dealing with any stress or tension here, and that's incredibly helpful. I did have a chance to meet the Administrator Criswell, the FEMA administrator, was down here. I know she was part of this briefing this morning. I had a chance to talk with her. Mayor Levine Cava and I did that together. One of the things I think it's important to stress, we are used to dealing with natural disasters and the aftermath of natural disasters. Here in South Florida, obviously we live in Hurricane Alley, and so FEMA in our midst is a common occurrence, but what we're talking about here, as I've said before, is an unprecedented tragedy, an unprecedented crisis, and one that isn't comparable really anywhere in the U.S. before now. And so making sure that we inject and infuse humanity rather than bureaucracy throughout our response is so incredibly critical. And so Administrator Criswell was talking with us today, and really she stressed that it was really important and wonderful for the mayor and other officials here to give the families an opportunity to come closer to that rubble pile and to be able to grieve in their own way, to be able to try to get some solace out of the closeness and the proximity to their loved one, to really hold on to hope, or to perhaps begin to face the enormity of the crisis that we're dealing with here, to see up close the tunnels that have been burrowed by our incredible search and rescue teams. And I had a chance to sit down with the resting teams today while the active teams were on the pile and talk with them. I met and spoke with the Mexican search and rescue team, and they are really, obviously we wish we all weren't here, but they were very glad to be able to be here, to be able to do everything they could to help. Our teams, which have been nonstop. I met one of the incredible dogs, Lexi, who's been all over that pile, and being able to talk to them and hear the hope that they have, so that I could reassure my constituents that yes, believe them when they still have hope. We obviously have some realism that we're dealing with, but I keep telling them, as long as the experts that we trust are telling me they have hope to find people who might have been able to survive, then we have to make sure that we hold on to that hope. And then lastly, it's another important thing, so that we're infusing humanity throughout this entire process. Is normally when we are dealing with a tragedy, a crisis, a disaster, FEMA, when we're in the aftermath of a hurricane, you're sending your name in on a website, or you're registering, with an 800 number. All the registrations are being done face to face here. That was a decision that was made, early on, so that we could make sure that we are understanding that this tragedy, this crisis happened to people that were just living the normalcy of their lives, and the gut of this community was cut out in an instant. And so recognizing that and making sure that we keep that humanity threaded throughout this process is going to be critical. I will go back to Washington tomorrow. We're in the midst of the appropriations process, making sure that we can have the resources we need and that those continue to flow thanks to President Biden. Making sure that we coordinate through all three levels of government is going to be critical, and I'm happy to be here as part of the team to do that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Congresswoman. And now, Surfside Mayor Charles Burkett.
I just want to add a few comments to what Mayor Cava said, and she was very comprehensive. But today, I started my day visiting the families, and I ended my day visiting with the families, and I learned a lot. What I learned was there was a source of optimism injected into the discussion today, in that we had the Israeli search and rescue team present at that meeting. The families were encouraged. I know they were, because I could see it in their faces to have them here. It was very interesting, because there was a very difficult question that was asked by one of the family members, and the question was, in so many words, commander of the Israeli search and rescue team, do you think that the Miami-Dade team has been doing a good job? And everybody paused for a second, and the commander turned around and looked at everybody and said, I think they've been doing a perfect job. That said a lot. And we already knew that. We knew that they're there, they're professionals, they're world class. We've added the Israeli team now. We've added, I think we're going to add the Mexican team.
They've been cadenas there.
Okay, fantastic. So, that was uplifting. What was also uplifting to me was I had been asked repeatedly if the family members could go and visit, and it was really my hope that would happen, and I was so pleased to learn that Mayor Cava had organized that effort and made that happen for the families, because they need to be close to their loved ones. They need to see what's going on firsthand, because the pain that they're going through, the suffering, the unimaginable sort of desperation to get answers was relieved by that action, and I commend the mayor for that. I also commend Congresswoman Wasserman Schultz, who has been amazing, supportive like you can't believe. Like I've said all along, we don't have a resource problem. We've only had a luck problem. But our luck has, at least with respect to the weather and the fires, has seemed to turn. Now we just need a few more miracles each day, and we need to start pulling people out of that rubble and reuniting them with the families. And I'm excited, and I'm expectant, and I'm looking forward to that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. And now Miami-Dade Commissioner and Vice Chairman Oliver Gilbert.
I would just add that today we, the mayor, myself, Commissioner Garcia, Representative Bush, we had a chance to actually meet over on the beach with a group of clergy, just to hold hands and pray. And it was interesting because one of the prayers was the minister. He started off and he said, God doesn't have a gender or race or color. He doesn't know cities or counties or countries. God is love. We can petition God together right now in this place. It was moving because it reminded me that, you know, a lot of times we look at things and we define ourselves by differences. But when tragedy confronts us, we're best defined by how we come together. And so that's what you see right now. You see us how we come together. How we actually figure it out, how we have a federal government that's going to support the state government, the state's going to support the locals, and we have a county mayor and a city mayor and a county commission all trying to figure it out for some families and for a community. Look, when we talk about our first responders and we tell you they're the best in the world, we all knew they were the best in the world. We weren't confused by that. And part of that is they don't see themselves as having jobs. They don't have jobs. They have duty. And so when I'm taking the tour with the fire chief, and he's telling me what they're doing and the peril that their life is in and what they're doing, because they want to give anyone who has an opportunity to be alive, they want them to be alive. That's not a job. It's not a job responsibility. It's a calling and it's a duty. And that's what they're doing. That's what we're doing. And so I appreciate the hard work of everyone here, because I understand that a lot of this, when we look back on it, everyone will second guess everything. But the men and women who are out there in that pile right now, placing themselves at risk, they're doing it as a matter of duty. They're doing it for families who need to be reunited or who need closure. And they're doing it. So I appreciate them, and thank you all.
Thank you, Vice Chairman, for those beautiful words. And from the Miami-Dade Police Department, Chief Ed Caniva, which will be addressing traffic.
Hello, everyone. So we're well aware of the traffic concerns in the area. Our traffic plan has been posted in social media and has been shared with our public safety partners, and specifically those public safety partners within zip code 33154. Currently, what is closed is from 8th Street to 96th Street, Collins Avenue, and Harding Avenue. We are reassessing traffic on a daily basis, and let me rest assured to the citizens of zip code 33154 that you are being allowed access to your residences and your businesses. So that's not going to be an issue. Our ultimate goal is to reassess and open Harding Avenue as quickly as possible. In Spanish, el plan de tráfico del Departamento de la Policía fue compartido, está puesto en social media y también está compartido con los departamentos de la policía del área codes, específicamente 33154, que queremos asegurarle a los residentes que viven en ese zip code que le estamos dando acceso a sus casas y sus negocios. Estamos evaluando el tráfico constantemente y el goal de nosotros es abrir Harding lo más pronto posible. Muchas gracias.
Thank you, Chief. And we're going to be opening it up for questions now. Please raise your hand and go ahead, sir. Right here, please address the person.
Kevin Eswick, WSBN. For Mayor Burkett, can you confirm some reporting, and this is coming from an owner in the South Tower, also citing condo board meeting minutes, that a town official did tell them shortly after that 2018 report that the building was safe? Are you aware of that? Can you confirm that?
I wasn't there, you know. I was there before and I came after, but I wasn't there for that. But I'll tell you what we are doing. I've asked our clerk and our city attorney and our city manager to dig out every piece of correspondence related to that building and put it on our website. So that's happening right now, and we're just going to put it out there, let you all see it, and it's going to be what it's going to be.
Have you found anything? Did you tell us anything?
Well, listen, I've been out here with the families. I've been out here. I haven't even seen what's been reported. I haven't read any news. I've just been out here supporting the families. And so, no, I haven't seen it, but I understand there is some stuff on the website. I was handed a hard copy of the 2018 report, which I did review in my car when I was taking a soda break. But beyond that, I haven't seen much.
I understand there's a lot going on with the search and rescue going on here, but what is happening right now within the building department of Surfside? How are they handling this?
Well, listen, we have a new building official that's pretty aggressive, and we have a city manager who's also pretty aggressive. And I was pleased to hear. I met today. I had a private meeting with the building inspector or engineer that they had hired to advise the town. Now, this gentleman is the same engineer who was advising when the Pentagon was hit by the airplanes on 9/11. He's the same engineer who was recruited to work on the FIU bridge issue. So he's eminently qualified, and I'm looking forward to working with him and getting to the bottom of that. But all that information will be put out on that website, and I hope I'll get a chance to read it
One
soon.
last follow-up question here. You know, the county has its own DERM, right? But for all building issues here within Surfside, it would go through the town's building department. One of the town's commissioners told me, she goes, this is bigger than Surfside. We don't have the manpower to investigate that. I would say that for some that begs the question, was this building department, did it have all the brain power, all the manpower needed to secure all the buildings in the town?
Well, that's a good question, and I think a fair question. And I would say that they've been doing buildings here for 50 years, 60 years. And this is the first problem that we've had, and it's a bad problem, and something went very, very wrong here. And we're going to get to the bottom of it, but as far as I'm concerned, job one is to get those folks out of that pile of rubble and reunite them with their family. But I can assure you that will be job number 3, because job 1 is get them out, job 2 is support the family, job 3 is find out why it happened.
Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry.
To clarify, who agree with what was said news.
Hi.
Earlier, you were speaking to the residents of the North and East Tower, asking that they wanted to voluntarily evacuate, that they would have the resources available to be able to do that. Are they also entitled to ask for FEMA assistance?
They're not. They kind of fall into this sort of gap between, had the building been condemned, they would have been qualified, but the building was not condemned, and we agreed that the best way forward was to give them the option because, quite frankly, there are people that are afraid. It's the same building, the same plans, the same floor plan, the same developer, the same almost everything as far as I can see. And quite frankly, if you ask me if I wanted to spend the night in that building, I wouldn't be willing to do that until we went through it. Now, having said that, we did go through that building yesterday with our building official and the gentleman that I just described. And in so many words, I was told at the end of the day that nothing really significant jumped out at them. But, the big but, they said that, that's just a cursory review. And on Tuesday, the owners of that building are bringing in an engineering firm to do a top-to-bottom forensic sort of study on that, and they're going to use the X-rays and the ground-penetrating radar, and I think we're going to have some good answers. But in the meantime, the folks that don't want to be there, given what Mayor Cava said about the $1,200,000, we had a donor today. I was at a press conference with Mayor Suarez, and this donor specifically earmarked that money for relocation expenses. So that's perfect for what this is, and we're gonna, the intention is to use those funds for those people that aren't comfortable staying in the building during the time it's being inspected. Now, we've already had 2 people that went to the Marriott and said, hey, I'm here, I'd like to check in. So I've got to get going on that, and we've got to work out the logistics of that issue.
Mayor, let me follow up question on the trench. Work is continuing on that trench, or was that trench solely built to be able to help search and rescue teams put out those fires and give them access? Are we still actively working on that trench?
Yes, we have our fire chief here, but yes, they are actively working on the trench, and it actually was extremely helpful for the location of bodies.
Do you want to address where we are with that trench and what is the end game of the trench and how people will go?
Yes, well, the primary goal with the trench was to assist us in suppression, the smoldering fire activities and smoke as well, preventing any spread. By creating that trench, it's also given us opportunities to look for different areas in regards to access points to search from. And now continue, and as we continue with our process of delayer in different areas, and same thing where that area occurred with the trench itself, we'll delayer from there and continue on.
And Chief, how do you make sure that trench is secure for all your firefighters who are working inside of it?
Again, that's another huge concern, obstacle as we're going through. So we have several engineers that are embedded with our task force teams that are out there, our rescue teams, and so they modify. So based on what they see, based on measurements, they kind of guide us in the sense of, stability, a yes or a no in the sense of where we're looking.
What about the respiratory?
Chief, real quick, I'm sorry. Is there any way that you can give us a perspective of how much debris so far has been removed? The governor talked about the warehouse. Have you started that? In other words, something like that. We're trying to get a better sense of how much you've gotten to.
Definitely monitored. Unfortunately, I don't have the exact numbers, but definitely, we're moving the debris field, to the rear, or I guess I could say east from where we've been working. So I mean, definitely, we're transferring a lot, but I don't have the exact amount of.
Any of the grades that you set out that you're confident, or they've been looked at, you're not going to go back to that area?
No. The rescue grids are defined, and that's just the process how we search, and we'll continue searching as far down. So no grid. Can I get? I'm sorry. The last question here.
Yes, for the mayor. We've received calls from hotels offering free rooms for the displaced families, from funeral directors offering free funeral services for the fatal victims. How much of that type of thing is FEMA going to take care of? And how quickly will the victims learn of this? How quickly can that happen?
Estamos con fondos de FEMA para los que califican y, por ejemplo, extranjeros, gente que no son americanos, no pueden calificar. Entonces, fondos pueden ayudar a los demás y también es muy importante estos tipos este tipo de ayuda de las funerarias, de la vivienda. Y estamos con alguien que está coordinando todos los voluntarios y todas las donaciones y ellos pueden llamar a los números que hemos dado para comunicar lo que quieren donar. Gracias.
Porque el tema demora.
No solamente es que demora, es que posiblemente no va a calificar. Sí, demora. En Red Cross también tiene cuartos donde pueden quedar gente. Okay.
Alcaldesa, como jefa de gobierno en el condado, ¿usted podría considerar la evacuación obligatoria de la Torre Norte? Es una pregunta que tienen muchos residentes que todavía están viviendo en la Torre Norte y acabando de escuchar al alcalde de Surfside. ¿Usted como cabeza del condado Miami-Dade podría ordenar una evacuación obligada en la Torre Norte?
Ese edificio pertenece a la ciudad y tienen que tener razón para evacuarlo. Y vamos a esperar a ver de los datos que reciben de los estudios que están haciendo.